Okay, so the distance formula, you can see it on your reference sheet. You basically have to be able to use it, and it is very straightforward. Let's see if I can fix this. We know the distance d is going to be equal to the square root of everything below it. So these parentheses are extremely important. x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So this formula, as long as you are able to type it in and put numbers in the correct place, we are good to go. So how it works, let's say we have 2 points. So we've got the point 1, 3, I'm just making these up, and then we've got the point 5, 6. And we want to know the distance between those. This comes from the Pythagorean theorem, because you could create a triangle and you could find your 2 legs and you could do the Pythagorean to find the hypotenuse. That is always an option. If you forget how to use the distance formula, you could definitely do that, although it is not the speediest way or the most efficient way. So I'm going to show you how to use the distance formula. You have to know the coordinates. So this point was 1, 3. This point was 5, 6. So we started at A and we went to B. Now obviously, let me back up. If this was a straight line, you could count. Because it's a diagonal, that's where we got to use the distance formula. So we come over here. I'm going to count B as my x2. So we had an x2, y2. That means we had an x1 and a y1. It helps if you label. Now we're just going to do the subtraction. x2 was 5 minus x1, which was 1. That's in parentheses, and we square it. We do the same thing. y2 was 6 minus y1 was 3. We square it, and that's all under the square root. Simplify. 5 minus 1 is 4 squared. 6 minus 3 is 3 squared. Now, there are times where you could skip some of these steps. The better you get at it. Take care of your exponents. So 16 plus 9. 16 plus 9 gives me 25, and the square root of 25 is 5. So your distance is 5. That one just worked out to be a nice number. I did not mean that to happen. Let's go try one more with some weird numbers just to make sure we can show you how to type it on a calculator. So let's say I had the point A, which is at -2, 6, and B, which is at 3, -4. So we're going to find the distance between those two. So I would label, let me change colors, so we have x1, y1, x2, y2. Then we plug them in. So x2 minus x1, 3 minus -2, plus -4 minus 6, 3. Now, you don't have to type this in a calculator, but if you do, make sure you take it slow. So 3 minus -2 gives me 5 squared. -4 minus 6 gives me -10 squared. This is where people mess up. The 5 squared, they're fine. 5 squared, we get 25. The -10, if you do not put it in parentheses, look what happens. It gives you a negative. We know a negative times a negative is a positive, so there's no way that's right. What your calculator is doing is it's taking 10, squaring it, and multiplying by -1. So you have to make sure you put that in parentheses. That gives me the right answer. So then square root of 125, depending on how they want the final answer, if they want you to round it to the nearest tenth, 11.2, to the nearest hundredth, 11.18, the nearest whole number, 11. Keep it as a radical, you would have to do a tree diagram, so it just depends on how it's asked.